Israeli writer and thinker David Grossman writes this: I wish that we Israelis will be able, perhaps for the first time in our history, to stop being a story constantly at the center of the world's attention, the center of international agendas, that finally will cease being a larger-than-life story, as we've seen since the dawn of time, and start being just another story among the stories of the other nations. A special story, of course, a gripping and moving and multi-layered story, but for God's sake, not a larger-than-life story, just another story of life. We've all felt something like that these last 7 months. Maybe we haven't been able to articulate it as well as David Grossman, but we feel it. On this Shabbat, our Torah is turned to what is called the Holiness Code, right at the center of the scroll. Right at the center of the middle of the book of Leviticus, we find the words, Kedoshim Tihiyu. You shall be holy. Ki kadosh ani Adonai, because I, the eternal God, am holy. These two words, Kedoshim Tihiyu, are written and repeated as a signal to us that it might always be so. Despite what we might pray for, despite what David Grossman writes about, it could be that we have been assigned a unique role to play in the world. Much of the displaced rage against the Jewish people and the state of Israel seems to come from those who misunderstand this central and foundational verse. I've seen with my own eyes on social media the comments of some who are filled with such hatred for the Jews because they think that we think somehow we are better than. But Kedoshim Tihiyu is always written and read, chanted, recited in the future tense. Not you are holy, but you shall be holy. You shall strive for holiness. You shall become holy. In all humility, we have no illusions of self-described grandeur. In fact, we assume that we will never reach that sacred state. We admit it. But we do believe in the call. We do believe in the necessity of trying. We do accept the demand to stretch towards sanctity. We do believe in the mitzvah of it all, Kedoshim Tihiyu, you, plural, all of us together. You all shall be holy. Ki kadosh ani Adonai, for I, the eternal God, am holy. On this Shabbat Tekumah, on this Shabbat of revival, especially this year, we need to return to this mission and revive in one another our clear commitment to it. Shabbat Tekumah is our time to find our confidence again. Kum, get up. 7 months ago, we were at our most vulnerable, our most blindsided. Our eyes have been opened to things that maybe knew, maybe always were there. We are finding our way to greater clarity now, and I believe perhaps to many greater partnerships in this striving towards holiness. So to give us another measure of confidence and courage, I want to name a few of those partnerships that I'm seeing emerge now. While the news of the day continues to rattle us to the core, I don't deny it, I also see many signs of good people getting organized and getting smarter and getting stronger. One personal example, and I hope you see this in your own friendship circles. An old college roommate of mine lives in Michigan now. She is Christian from Chicago. Her husband is Christian from Germany. We haven't seen each other in a number of years now, but we're Facebook friends. Usually we wish each other happy birthdays and send well wishes on holidays and cheer for the successes of one another's children. But lately, my friend Andrea has been actively posting in defense of Israel and in defense of the Jewish people. And she is publicly asking important questions. She is doing the research and sharing her findings. She is open-hearted and open-minded. She's taking some hits from people who have other points of view. And she's willing to invest social capital and take risks in her friendship for the sake of getting this right. And I'm very proud of her, and I make sure to tell her so. And yes, while the news of the day continues to rattle us to our core, I see many signs of religious peoples getting organized and getting stronger. I'll share one example with you, and I hope you see this in your circles as well. It's a theological example. I was recently invited to sit on a panel at St. Michael's College at U of T. The gathering will be in celebration of a new book entitled Redeeming Jesus' Name, written by Sister Marina Fritz. Sister Marina is a nun and an old friend of Rabbi Marmer of blessed memory. She made Aliyah to Jerusalem, has citizenship in Israel, and now at the age of 90, she is challenging the church to repent for its replacement theology, which in her opinion has led to a lasting and stubborn anti-Semitism. The book will be discussed by leading Christian theologians and is a perfect text in preparation for next year, which will mark the 60th anniversary of Nostra Aetate. The Archdiocese of Toronto is reaching out to Holy Blossom Temple now and to other Jewish communities across the GTA to plan joint programming that will link the Catholic communities with the Jewish communities in good faith. And while I see how the news of the day rattles us to our core, I also see signs that governmental voices are getting organized and getting stronger. South of the border, there are two complementary and bipartisan bills in the U.S. legislature, the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act and the Countering Anti-Semitism Act. And we look forward to hearing how these will come to fruition. And closer to home, while like you, I have been frustrated by the Prime Minister's lack of clarity since October 7th, and while I have been hurt by his refusal to travel to Israel, the only head of state among the G7 states who has not been to Israel since October 7th, I did take comfort in the words he shared this past week on Yom HaShoah. The Prime Minister of Canada says, "In a country like Canada, it should be, and it must be, safe to declare oneself a Zionist, Jewish or not. Zionism is not a dirty word or something anyone should be targeted for agreeing with. It is the belief at its simplest that Jewish people, like all peoples, have a right to determine their own future. You can be a Zionist and strongly support the creation of a Palestinian state living in peace and security alongside Israel, a view I know is shared by many in the Jewish community and across Canada. It is my belief, too," the Prime Minister says. Another example on a community level of how we are getting organized and finding our strength and our courage to come out and build up relationships that can move us to greater sanctity that striving that Kedoshim Tihiyu demands of us. Today, I was very pleased to finally announce the launch of Holy Blossom Temple's joint trip to Israel with Timothy Eaton Memorial Church. How are our Christian neighbors responding to October 7th? By reaching out to the Jewish community, and Holy Blossom Temple in particular, and by planning to travel across the ocean together in search of greater friendship and greater understanding. God bless them. I hope you will join us next May. All the details are on our website. And while we continue to be rattled by what we see on our own campuses here locally and across the country, I hope you also read the words of the Columbia University students this week. More than 100 of them signed their names publicly. And I'll just lift up a few of their words. One thing is for sure, we will not stop standing up for ourselves. We are proud to be Jews and we are proud to be Zionists. We came to Columbia because we wanted to expand our minds and engage in complex conversations. While campus may be riddled with hateful rhetoric and simplistic binaries now, it is never too late to start repairing the fractures and begin developing meaningful relationships across political and religious divides. Our tradition tells us to love peace and to pursue peace. We hope you will join us in earnestly pursuing peace, truth, and empathy. Together we can repair. I think these words of these young people, these strong voices of confidence and courage, they are perhaps the finest example of this week's fulfillment of the mitzvah Kedoshim Tihiyu. You shall become holy. You shall strive for holiness. You shall try to reach towards holiness. May we take inspiration from them. May we take instruction from them. Shabbat Shalom.